Okay, well, round one started, and this hand is really close. If we get one power, we're fine. So if we find like a Seek power, if we find a Find the Way, anything like that, and we're good, because then we can get Amber Acolyte online. If it's time right away, then it's really perfect because of the Temple Scribe. And I am on the draw. I think that this is good enough to keep. It's definitely dicey because this is one of those hands that can end up really, really badly. But if we get the power, we have exactly what we need in this hand. We go from 3 to 4, and then we can have Great Parliament to stabilize against a really aggro deck, or we can, just keep getting value with Xenon Augury, dig for what we need against the control list, which this is probably a control list. I imagine that's Felon Control. Felon Control has made a big resurgence from what I've seen. And, yeah, I mean, this hand has all of the... Whew, that is so lucky. I was starting to really sweat here. But this hand has all the things that we need to actually get the engine churning. And I like that kind of a hand. It's a little bit of a high-risk hand, because, I mean, you can certainly miss on it. But it's a very high reward. And I don't think that the odds of us missing there are that bad that we should throw it away. I went and got the Shadow Sigil because there's a decent chance that I Xenon Augury here instead of playing anything else. It's just the best use of our mana. We're using 4 instead of, 2 or 3 if we go for time. I think I'm probably still going to Amber Acolyte. Definitely going to attack. I want to Amber Acolyte because I do want Mask of Torment on curve. And this is perfect because now we have the Temple Scribe to gain life immediately afterwards. If you can, and you're not under a ton of pressure, it's really, really useful to wait on your life gain for Mask of Torment. You often can't do that. It's a pretty rare privilege that we get the chance to do it here. But something that, if it's a slower game like this where we definitely have the option to do it, it's nice to wait. Definitely. So we have the option now of either going Mystic Ascendant and immediately getting Time Sigil, which, by the way, I've really enjoyed that with this deck. It's just a very brief aside. The curve out of Mask of Torment into Mystic Ascendant is great because normally you go 5 and then you go 6 and they kill it and you don't get any value. You have to wait until 7. Well, this way you go 5, 6, play your Sigil, and you immediately get the value out of it. Even if they kill it, well, I mean, at least you got something. And that's normally what you can hope for out of Mystic Ascendant. I'm going to Temple Scribe here first. And there's another Temple Scribe. I'm going to do it again. Because I'm pretty sure I want to slay that. Now we have a lot of power. It's a little bit awkward that we don't have a Sigil, but we can always Xenon Augury and see what comes up. I just want to keep up the pressure. I don't want to let this deck just kind of keep drawing cards and stabilize because it's going to be annoying. Felon Control is a little bit of a tougher matchup. It's not super bad for us or anything. I definitely think that we can beat it, but it's a pain. It's a grind fest is what it is. They are stuck on lands, and we've got 10 power. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. I could just slam a Great Parliament here, but with Xenon Augury, we're almost guaranteed to just get Great Parliament for 12 next turn. It seems way better. There's the Annihilate. Sure. Why did I think... I don't know what I'm doing. I just immediately played this like it was a fast spell, and I know that it's not. I just did something silly. That's okay. We'll be able to Augury here into Augury or another Mystic Ascendant. Kind of like Augury into Augury. We go to 12, 13, and then I can start really going off because of the mask. If I get the Devoted Theurge here, then we're in insane shape. That was really weird. I've played this deck a lot over the last, 4 days, and I've never thought this was a fast spell, and I don't know why I just suddenly stopped thinking there. Now, I'm honestly going to be content to wait until this is for even more. So we're just going to Find the Way. Probably should have done that first. Annihilate. Death Strike. Okay. That's fine. I'm just being really silly tonight. I'm packing for TwitchCon right now, and my parents' house was almost burned down yesterday. And so I'm just I think that I'm just a little bit off, so I apologize. But I'll try and stretch my legs, get a little bit loosey-goosey, start thinking a little bit more here, and concentrate on the game. But little busy over the last couple days, so I think that I'm just making some weird play mistakes. It's amazing how much your mental capacity is affected by just little things like that throughout the day. I'm going to Augury first. Slay and Healer. I kind of like Slay. I just want to have answers to their creatures because they're going to have some big ones eventually. They're going to get things like Champion. We can kind of answer it with massive Great Parliaments, which Combat Healer does let us have because, I mean, Combat Healer is 2 extra power right now. It's a close one. I might just Healer. It's amazing the way that this deck works that way. Like, you just start getting so much value off the Great Parliament and things like Combat Healer that you don't actually care about getting slays and stuff. You just get, okay, well, I'll make 24 power in owls. I'll make 6 owls. Things like that become pretty common. So we go up to 20. I'll attack and Parliament. Hopefully they don't have the backlash. And it seems like they don't. I'm going to hold off on this time sigil. We're not particularly close to 24. Like, we'd need to have more life gain first. And I really want to make sure that we have the sigil in case we get another Mystic Ascendant. So they annihilate one of them. It's a pretty good sign that we're in all right shape. That's a desperation move. At this point, I might just want to ultimate one of them. We ultimate, we attack for everything. 8, 12, 20, 24. If they block one, gain 3 back. So they're definitely alive. It's not looking good for them, though. We'll do this first. I am free! Ha 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 ha. And down to 5. Pass the turn. They used the Black Sky Harbinger already, so it's unlikely that they have like Witch into Black Sky kind of combos. And single hits like this aren't going to do enough. Like, that's... I think that it's still lethal even if we don't ultimate, but we'll ultimate again anyways. And it has been a pleasure. Fought with courage, sir, madame, but you are unfortunately going down. Alright, well, there's a pretty good example of the way this deck can play out. Started to play a little bit tighter at the end. I was playing pretty loose at the start of that, but hey, warm-up games, right? And we still won, so we're good. Shows that the deck has some power. Even if you make some mistakes, it's got like some really insane curves, and you can just get a ton of power in game terms and in real life terms and crush your opponents. All right, let's go to round 2. Okay, so I realized that we didn't have the sound on, and I'm not in my A game today because I skipped a round. The reason being that I went to turn on the volume so we could have the wonderful "I am free" voice line, and I clicked concede instead. We had a really good hand. This hand is okay. Whoops. So like I said, A game, not on it. I'll try and recover here and give you guys some good content still. The game is fun. At least we're doing some stuff. If you're wondering why my rank though reset back to the beginning of Diamond in between games that should be side by side, the reason is that I insta-conceded before I played any sigils on the last game, despite the fact that I had an awesome hand. It was double Amber, Acolyte, Temple Scribe, and I could play them all. Probably good. So we're going to play our depleted sigil and just dig again. We don't have any reason to have an undepleted sigil in the play, so makes sense to just get rid of it for now. It probably won't make a difference in this game whether I played depleted or undepleted there, but I just want to get into the habit of playing the depleted when I can play it without any consequences. And we're just going to jam this. I don't want to play these for 4. Sometimes it's possible. Like, there's a lot of times where you actually do want a Great Parliament for just one owl, just to maintain board stability against, like, an aggro deck, but, I mean, obviously this is not one of those times. I'm going to wait here just a little bit of time, try and draw them into a harsh rule. If our opponent's fairly smart, they won't walk into it. I'm going to not block because of the fact that if I do, it's like the most obvious harsh rule in existence. Alright, well, that's fine. Stand together, protect. Ooh, wow. Alright. Okay. Well, we're gonna pass. Yeah, I think I take even one more hit from this. Really hoping that they play one more thing into the harsh rule. Opponent is very smart about this.
Close your eyes. Listen.
But now we can kind of turtle up a bit. They'll have to play more just to get through. Desert Marshal. That's fine. I mean, Desert Marshal doesn't actually do anything here. They are missing power, so they might not even be playing smart. It might just be that they don't have anything else big to play, which would be unfortunate for us because, of course, be real nice if they had to commit more to this board. Currently, I'm not sure what that attack was. I mean, it didn't do a whole lot.
Right here.
I guess that it was free. Like it didn't cost them anything to do it. We're just gonna keep passing. Stuck with a bunch of things I don't want to play. Again, this is just a little odd. All right. Block like that. Ooh, find the way. That is good for us. So we're going to get another Justice Sigil, and then we're going to find the way again. I'll play one and pass. Now we can go Ascendant and start drawing. Oh, they also got their power. They can start hitting us for 2 again because of the Combrade healer here. But I'm hoping that we impressed upon them that we don't have anything. Although now, I mean, the part of the problem with this is that I waited so long that I actually want to play more things myself into this harsh rule. We might entice them to actually use one of theirs. I'm going to play the Depleted Time Sigil. It's kind of awkward because, of course, we're going to have this Seed of Mystery in our hand that is going to be depleted if we don't have a Sigil. Luckily, we hit that Find the Way, and it's just not a problem anymore. Like, by playing the depleted one, we're depleting this, which is an issue. Okay, that's fine. And now they have no good attacks either. They can attack with the 6-7, but, I mean, I'll just trade it with our 6-6. Yeah, looks good for us. And I think the longer the game goes, the better it is for us, because our deck just goes so over the top. We're going to go for another Find the Way. We just want to thin our deck as much as possible so that we can draw our really powerful cards, like the Mask. And we're going to wait here. I really don't want to throw Great Parliaments into this Sandstorm Titan, unfortunately. And there's their Mystic Ascendant. Now is definitely the time to blow up the board with this Great Parliament. So we'll play Depleted. Make a very obvious attack. I have Harsh Rule. Just telegraph it a little bit louder. Yeah, and like, if our opponent's smart, they'll just block in some obvious fashion. They could honestly just double chump block there, it wouldn't matter.
This ends now.
It's so incredibly obvious that we have it that, I mean, I wouldn't have faulted them at all for just chump blocking there twice. Mystic Ascendant again. That is certainly an issue. Have to find an answer for it. I could just use Knight Chancellor. But I think now is the time for us to go hootin'. I only want to do one here because the odds that they harsh rule, or like if we actually play 2, the odds of the harsh rule are pretty high. If we do 1, they're unlikely to. If we do 2, they're almost certainly going to. Well, that's probably the game. Wow. Is that all 4 Desert Marshals? It is. Huh. And they're attacking with the Mystic Ascendant? No, that can't be right. That doesn't feel good at all. I am very happy to get rid of it. I need to get rid of this Vodacon now. I'm actually going to Knight Chancellor because I might luck into like an Archive Curator or something else that's important against it. Sandglass Sentinel. Kind of useful in a way, and it does work with Great Parliament, I suppose. And give us +4 power. We'll just attack with this. It is also very big, which is nice. I'm just worried that this Destiny is going to get us. Sure. And Predatory Carnosaur. Well, we need a harsh rule. Just a little too much power right now. That could help.
Right here.
Devoted Theurge. Not quite what I was looking for. This is the reason why I chopped down to 2 as well. Because Devoted Theurge is insane with Mask of Torment if you have enough power to start it up. But it's just not that great when you're in these kinds of positions. It really does not do enough. I'm wondering if I want to just play the Devoted Theurge, try and stall on the ground long enough that we can win in the air. Certainly possible.
On your feet, wanderer.
I'm going to play it, and that might be our plan here, is to just actually try and overwhelm them very quickly with the flyers. If they play a Sandstorm Titan, it probably means that we're just dead then. Opponent is now reading Devoted Theurge, because they've probably never seen it. Or seen it rarely enough that they need to double check. Another Predatory Carnosaur. Ugh, gross.
You've run far enough.
Our opponent is... Remember how I said earlier that I felt like our opponent was trying to play around Harsh Rule? I'm pretty sure that they just did not have any power. I was giving my opponent the benefit of the doubt and saying that they were like really, really smart for not doing that. Yeah, I don't think that's all what was happening there. I'm sure my opponents, like, they haven't made any major misplays or anything. They're not stupid, but I was giving them a lot of credit for being incredibly intelligent and like this tactical genius, and I'm pretty sure they were just stuck on power because they're not afraid to jam into the Harsh Rule now. I think it's the right time for them to not be afraid either, because they want to overwhelm us before we can kill them with the flyers. Now, what do I want to do here? I do have the combo now. Problem is with one mask and with the board that they have, it's a little slow. Just a little. I'm going to hold back. I'm not going to be able to race this. If I attack in with the flyers, I'm certainly just dead.
Your power flows.
Ugh. Yikes. Yeah. And now Voda combo takes off. So have you ever seen this before? Vodacon gets power and health equal to your maximum power. So it's 1717. And all of your power cards have destiny, so you have to play them automatically. Marshall is doubling all their power cards, so whenever they play a power, they get an additional copy, and then whenever they play a power, they get this to be bigger, and they draw cards, which might actually lead them to draw so many cards that they draw their entire deck. Also, though, that doesn't really matter, because this will also just destroy everything. I could concede right here, because we are certainly dead. All they have to do is just use the Martial Ironthorn, the ultimate, deal 15, pay 15, wipe out everything on our side of the board. But our opponent played this out pretty nicely. We need to give them the satisfaction. It's not often that you get to see full Voda combo go all the way. Let's have them sit here and destroy us. We made a valiant effort, couldn't quite get there, needed some more harsh rules. This is the argument for 4 in the deck for sure. The stand together that they had was really good when we could have slayed. Okay, that's just unnecessary. They're going to run out of time to use the Marshal. They might act... did they just go by accident? Are they ending the turn? Oh, no, okay.
Judgment
has come. There we go. Our opponent enjoyed themselves there. I had to give them the satisfaction of having that. And we'll be back for round 3. Okay, round 3 going. We're on the play, and this hand is very interesting. I'm going to keep it. We've got the augury to dig. We can find a mask. This is actually great. Playing that undepleted first, and we're going to go for a Shadow Sigil. I often like to play Combre Banner if I can early. Don't have any creatures out, because it's nice to make sure that we don't have it stuck depleted in our hand later when we really need it. But when we have the Seek Power, we've got to make sure we go for it.
Focus, child.
So, looks like a Xenon deck. Whenever you see, like, it's not just the Shadow Time that suggests Xenon. Tellier's Favored tends to be in those decks. I've played more than my share of them, so I think that I'd have a decent idea anyways. I'm a big fan of a lot of the Xenon strategies. They're not very good a lot of the time, I think. They're not super competitive. I haven't found a list that's been incredibly competitive. There's been some good mid-range lists that are, but a lot of them are, like the Life Force decks are the ones that I like, and those are mostly just fun. They're not particularly amazing. They're just really fun. My favorite Xenon strategies are all just the fun ones. The actual good ones, the ones that are just good stuff decks, that kind of like Praxis mid-range, are not my favorite Xenon strategies by any means. It's gonna block here. I didn't want to play the Xenon Augury yet because I really want to be able to get Mask of Torment out first. Dark Return the Temple Scribe. Alright. We're going deep on that one. So they're desperately looking for something. I don't know what. We really need that dig. This is sweet. Double Mask right away with not a lot of pressure against us is just going to be awesome. We can go over the top of a lot of decks. There are some that can definitely fight us. For example, Voto Combo. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay, opponent is going really deep. I wonder if this is my own list against myself. The one with Xenon Cultists and Ephemeral Wisps and things like that. If it is, it can go a lot bigger than we can, but I would be surprised. I would be very surprised. So we can get to 12 power next turn, and then just start having big Great Parliaments.
My favorite part.
It kind of looks similar to the lists that I have, but it's not quite there. I'm going to just Harsh Rule. I'd love to have been able to Xenon Augury, but yeah, we wanna end things now, as it were. Next turn, Augury into Parliament is enough to make 3 owls. I'm not entirely certain that I want to do that yet. We'll see what our opponent does. Yeah, I probably want to do that. I don't really want to leave Memory Dredger hanging around. So we have... we're a little bit short of going Find the Way, Augury, Parliament. I like using Find the Ways early because then I can thin the deck out of just dead draws. But I'm going to Augury first because we might want to do something besides Find the Way that's expensive. Well, it can double Great Parliament. One of the things about the Xenon list is they're not going to have a lot of board wipes, so dig a little bit. We might actually be able to get up to 16 power next turn. Let's make a bunch of owls. Hoot hoot. Woo hoo.
You will feed the darkness.
Who are you? I'm so sorry, chat. You had to put up with me today. My brain is so fried. I'm in vacation mode. I'm going to TwitchCon tomorrow, and it's very early tomorrow, in like less than 12 hours. I'm on the way, and I'm just having my fun. I don't really want to throw this Great Parliament out until I get another owl out of it. So let's wait until I get another owl out of it. think I like attacking with 1. Trade it for the Blister Fly. They need double removal spells to get rid of the other ones and actually get into the Memory Dredger. That might be really greedy. I mean, they do get back a 3/3 Temple Scribe if they actually get it through. But that's a lot of removal. Banish, banish. Alright. Yeah, they have it. Like, almost for sure.
Welcome to the fold.
Welcome. What do they have? It is silence, so I mean, it can't be that big.
Focus,
Yeah.
child.
Like, nothing that they have was actually that large. So I'm pretty okay with that. Now, we get to start slaying. I'm probably even wait on the slay. I wouldn't mind getting rid of this, but they're not getting it through 16 power of owls. I was like, I'm worried about like a Sandstorm Titan, and that's why I wanted to hold on to the Slay. Or they could just scoop to, you know, an extra 16 power of owls coming onto the board. Good old Mask of Torment. And that shows kind of the power of it, because we didn't draw that many sigils. Most of that was Mask of Torment power. I wish I could show exactly how much it was, but it was probably about like anywhere from 6 to 8. We made quite a bit off of the masks, and that's a big boon when you can make your Great Parliaments that big. All right, we'll be back for round 4 in a moment. All right, round 4, Temple Scribe and a bunch of Seek powers. I'm still going to keep it. I'm a bit worried about this one. I don't think this is one that we throw back. Because, I mean, otherwise we end up with, like, 2 different power and, like, all 4 of our Mystic Ascendants or something. I'll end up with something awful. And this is decent enough. And it actually ended up being quite good because I think Mask of Torment is solid here. But, yeah, I'm a bit worried about this kind of a hand because it can certainly run into dead draw if you get more power. I'm thinking that I want to just double Seek power and not actually use the Temple Scribe yet. We might be able to wait until Mask of Torment. So we're just going to keep digging here. I want 1 Justice for sure. And then it really doesn't matter. We now have double Justice, double time. Everything else is just kind of gravy. Take another Shadow. That's one of the nice things about this deck is, yes, it is a 3-faction deck, but the actual faction requirements are really not that hefty. I'm going to continue to not play the Scribe because we're under no pressure from our opponent. I don't feel the need to pull the trigger on it super early. Not when we have the power of the Mask of Torment just waiting to be used. And it's starting to look like it'll really pay off because when we go Mask into Mystic... Oh yeah, this is great. We're going to have a ton of fuel for the Mystic. I wonder what they're waiting on. They might be needing double Shadow. Like, they might have Auric Interrogators, Tavrod kind of deck. That'd be my guess. Argenport, generally Tavrod at this point. Tavrod and the Auric Interrogators are very common. Ooh, Revenge. That's a good hit for our opponent. I am going to Ascendant.
Your power flows through.
We need to get some power flowing. Ooh. Oh, wow. I'm really going to get rewarded for holding this Temple Scribe. You know what's better than gaining 2 life and drawing a card? Or gaining a life and drawing a card? Gaining a life, drawing a card, and generating 2 power for free. That's pretty good, I find. Doesn't really matter how I do this. We'll banner because otherwise this will be... Like, if we play this first, we might end up with a banner undepleted and then just look silly.
Sharpen those
Yep,
horns.
I have the Tavrod, and that's the one that got Revenge. I mean, I can't be surprised at this. I've played against Tavrod enough at this point. I don't think it's as big of a problem as what people are making out anymore. I was on the bandwagon where I was very much not a fan of Tavrod. I'm still not a fan of the card, I would say. I think that it does some pretty nasty things to the format in some ways. But realistically, like, look at tonight. This is the first Tavrod deck that we've seen. We've played a bunch of matches. I don't think it's that prevalent. Wow. Opponent just can't deal with the flyers. And I think that that's kind of what's happened, actually, as an aside. Our own content creator, John Wells, went into this a little bit more. he put it up on newmockgaming.com. If you ever want to check out all of our content there, I definitely appreciate it. But he wrote an article that was all about power creep in the game, and then he did a follow-up on Tavrod, and he wanted to wait a little bit longer for some more results to come in. And I think that I was against him at first. I was like, I'm publishing it, like, I'm fine with that, but I didn't really agree with his premise. I think that Tavrod was kind of bad. But I've seen a lot of decks adjust. We've seen Praxis, mid-range, kind of become a more flyer-oriented deck with more, like, Soulfire Drakes and Crimson Fire Maws. It does warp other decks, but it doesn't seem like it kills them as much as I thought it did. So I might be okay with the cow existing. It's still a bit of power creep, I think, but I don't know that it's something that has to be nerfed. Alright, in any case, let's go to the final round. Ooh, this hand. Yeah, I'm okay with this hand. It's definitely a little awkward. 2 Desert Marshals is not where I want to start, but it has the sigil, the Seek power to get the right sigil for Temple Scribe. Kind of awkward. The biggest problem for me, honestly, is the Combray banner. If this was a seat, it would be so much better because we could actually do a turn 2 Scribe. I'm really happy about that harsh rule. That makes things just much, much easier. Lead with the Shadow Sigil even. Get the time. We'll play Combray banner next turn and just kind of build up a slower board here. And if we do it really awkwardly this way, our opponent might not really suspect the harsh rule as much, and we might get them with it. Which is why I really wanted to see that harsh rule. That was a fantastic pull for us. In awkward, clunky hands like this, it builds a convincing narrative, I feel like, where your opponent can believe that you don't actually have it.
It's written right here.
To that end, I'm very okay just slamming that. Especially since I need another power to actually get the harsh rule down. Next turn, if we don't draw an undepleted power, we are absolutely 1000% using Find the Way once and just paying for 2. Okay, so we got the undepleted, which means that I think we can go Find the Way, Find the Way. It's really greedy because when we're taking 8 damage at least, if not more. But I feel like we just win the game if we do this. I have to be very careful that I do not play a depleted power here, though. That's important. Yeah, they're not going to play anything else into this. They now suspect the harsh rule. Drawing the second one makes me a little bit happier about that, though. Because of the simple fact... Oh, they might have Iron. They paused. Oh, no, okay. What would they have, then? Something that would have affected a creature? So maybe like a rapid shot? That's pretty cool. We will, in fact, slay it, though. And then we get to hold up Desert Marshal and pass. That slay was such a perfect draw. I love that I casually drew it and was just like, ah, well, now we just do this. It's easy peasy. Not a problem. Find the Way. I mean, it could just Augury. I really like thinning our deck as much as possible. I know that we can just dig for what we need with the Augury, but I still have the option of Desert Marshalling here. Oh, opponent pausing. Iron? There's Iron.
You will feed the darkness.
I'm not going to block it, but I don't mind silencing Iron. Do they have removal? They do. It looks like they do, but they're just not going to use it. Which I would agree with. Play another depleted power, Mask of Torment, and we'll just pass. Another Iron.
The darkness.
Sure. Ugh. That's getting nasty.
Think you can escape me?
But our opponent cannot escape this. We're going to start generating a lot of power. Now we just need to find things to do with it. Slay is good. I'm going to lead with the Xenon Augury, though. Combray Healer. That is a pretty awesome draw. Now, do I want to play the depleted power? Or do I want to Slay and Healer? I think that we go Healer Slay. I don't know. Like, the problem here is
Listen.
that the Ion's not actually getting through. Problem is that they probably have a removal spell. Like, I'm 90% certain they have it, so I should probably just fire off the Slay. Dark Return. This is going to be the Auric Interrogator. Yeah. I might have to harsh rule that. I'm actually not liking that our opponent has very little power right now, because it means that they just have a ton of gas. And, like, we're drawing a lot of power. Way, way too much power. I'm going to pass one more turn. This kind of sucks because we're getting more cards out of them if they play things into the harsh rule. But they're also getting more value because they're going to be able to draw off the Auric Interrogator more. Chump block for a turn. Hopefully play something. I really hope they play something because I don't want to just get another Temple Scribe. Nope. Opponent's smart. Oh, wow. That is way, way too much power. We haven't even really gotten a lot of Mask of Torment. I mean, we have double our opponent's power in play, which is really not where we want to be. I guess that we just have to harsh rule. I really can't let them keep that Interrogator going. This is awful, though. Like, absolutely miserable. I'm playing the power because we do have all of the Great Parliaments that if we hit it, we want to have 16, not 15. They've got their... Is that the 4th Dark Return? That might be. It's just the 3rd? Wow. Ugh. Well.
Close your eyes. Listen.
Not how I wanted this to go down. Definitely not. Just a little bit of flood. Opponent's deck is sweet. Got a lot of cool things, but I mean, there's not a lot we can do in these kinds of games. I could have fired off that harsh rule earlier, but like, we're still just dying. We need to find something that's actually useful. Desert Marshal kind of helps. It's the 3rd Desert Marshal that we've gotten. Kind of counter the million dark returns that they have. But yeah, I mean, we're just in a lot of trouble. I might want to play this Time Sigil. I'm going to hold on to it. Another Ion? Annihilate. Okay. I'm waiting for the Death Strike or the Banish for this, and this just kill us. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, well, I mean, that was unfortunate. We had a pretty good start to the game. We just then flooded out quite a bit, which will happen. I mean, that's always a problem with this kind of a deck too, right? You can have those hands where, I mentioned that earlier, where it's a good idea, I think, to really pay attention and keep hands that have a lot of the early spells and ways to ramp. You can end up where you just don't have any gas for it, but just as often you can draw the other half of your deck where you can start off with a hand, and I think this is even worse, where you end up with like four things that cost 5 or 6 and a bunch of power for it, and you just end up not playing anything the entire game. So it's a really good idea to not get stuck in those hands where you have just all of your big drops and nothing else. It's better to keep the hands that actually have the low-end things, even if they don't look like they have anything powerful to do, because you can draw into some of the powerful stuff a little bit more often than you can the other way around. You've got some time before you're actually ramping to 6, before you're ramping to, 12 or 16 for your Great Parliaments. If you have Great Parliaments in your opening hand, they're really not that good. You need them later on, so you don't want to get stuck with a hand that has like 3 of them in your opener. And so even if you have a hand that just seems very medium because it's just got a bunch of like Seek Powers and Sigils, it's a pretty reasonable hand to keep. The deck has a lot of powerful things to do. And yeah, I mean, sometimes you end up with these kinds of games, but that will happen. And it'll happen just as often or even more often the other way around, where you just have not enough power and a lot of your big things, and you just get run over by aggro decks. We didn't come across a lot of aggro decks, and that's one of the last things that I want to impress upon with this deck right now. It's a bit of a meta choice from what I can tell. I don't have enough numbers to solidly say this, because even though I've played it quite a bit over the last few days, I'm a really big fan that you need like a ton of data points, and I mean like 100 plus, before you can really make any determinations like this. But it feels like it's a bit of a weaker deck against aggro. You're going to have trouble. You only have 3 harsh rules. You don't have a ton of early game creatures. Things like Combat Healer will certainly help, but you're only going to have those a certain percentage of the time. You only have 3. You're not really packing a lot of punch against like a super fast Skycrag or draw. And so right now I've been finding that there's not a lot of aggro decks that I'm coming across. And because of that, it seems a little bit better than it probably normally would be. I don't think that this style of deck is like fantastic if there's a ton of Rakano and Skycrag running around. But if you're looking at the meta and you're seeing a lot of Chalice and you're seeing a lot of other like mid-range decks, this deck is a decent enough mid-range deck that's not like, it's not absurdly over the top. It's not like some New Tomorrow combo or anything like that. Like John Wells again did a little bit of an article on that this week with a New Tomorrow list from Loco Pojo. And it's not that ridiculously over the top, but it can go over a lot of the other mid-range decks. It can definitely beat a Tavrod deck. It can fly through with just a ton of flyers off of the Great Parliaments, and that gives it a little bit of extra game against some of that mid-range that we're seeing right now, but it would suffer a bit at the hands of the aggro decks, I think. So just a bit of a metagame choice. In any case, thanks everybody for stopping by. I do really appreciate it. And if you like the you see here, then you can always check it out at newmockgaming.com. We put up articles and videos 2 or 3 every single day, and I will hopefully see you around. Hit that like and subscribe button as always. Smash it, and I will be back another time. I'm going to be going to TwitchCon for next week, so my content will be a little scarce for about a week, but I will definitely still try and put some stuff up for everybody, and I will see you a lot afterwards. So I realized I had the game sound turned down, and we didn't get the wonderful I am free voice line. This is a hand that I definitely want to keep. A little bit awkward that it doesn't have any justice or anything like that, but I mean, we've got the double time into the Temple Scribe. I'm pretty likely to hit another power off of that draw and the fact that we're not going first again, so I think it's a pretty good idea. And whoa, oh no! Oh my god. What the f am I doing?